Hello everyone and welcome back to another edition of What They Did and How They Did It from Seaways Cafe at Fridythorpe, the destination for everyone on two wheels, four wheels and no wheels. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Tom Ramsay, high performance coach. Tom, thank you for joining us in the Seaways community.
Glad to be here.
Good, thank you. Now, Tom holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Sports Performance Conditioning. After graduating, he worked at Giant in New York as the lead performance specialist and coach for 4 years. It was there that he honed and developed his skills and experience as a coach. He set up The Edge Coaching in June 2017, and ever since he has been pursuing his passion of making people fitter and faster. Now, Tom, reading that, it's clear that you're obviously well into your sports, and I imagine you have been from quite a young age. What is it that got you into sports science and then going on into performance coaching?
Yeah, so firstly, thanks for having me on the show, and glad to be a part of this all on your journey. Great what you're doing here. My involvement in sport performance actually started very differently to most. Now, obviously, I'm a performance coach, and like more specifically a cycling performance coach. But in terms of a sporting background for myself, I actually started from a motorsport background. And I can't remember if I told you this when you came for your bike fit a few months ago. But my main sport as a 16-year-old kid was motocross. I used to race motocross at a fairly all right level from the age of about 8 years old all the way through to when I was 18, 19. And throughout that time, don't get me wrong, I was riding bikes like we all do at that age. I was riding mountain bikes, tearing up and down the green outside my house, and having great fun with it. But it was kind of the age when I got to the end of secondary school and was doing things like physical education at school. And I found a great interest in essentially just how to make myself fitter, how ways in which I could manipulate certain things that I do in my lifestyle or what I ate, or things that I did to increase my fitness, and also actually at the time how that would have an impact on my motocross performance. Because take it back 10 years ago, fitness in, even 10 years ago, fitness in motocross and motorsports wasn't actually much of a thing. And people just passed it off as, I'll get round with, having balls of steel and all the technical aspect of it. But I kind of realized that, I was one of the fitter of the motocross riders there, and that fitness actually brought on my performance in motocross. Then it got to when I was 18, and a combination of me breaking my arm and me starting university, and at the same time my dad telling me that I would have to start funding myself. All those together made me realize how expensive motocross is.
Yeah.
So basically from there, that's when, like I say, at the time I was still doing a few triathlons, I was still cycling a little bit, I was doing all the different disciplines under the sun, really, mainly on two wheels. Anything that had two wheels, I was doing it, basically. Yeah. And I realized that, cycling was a little bit more cost effective, and I wanted to pursue an individual sport. So I started cycling. I went to college and studied sports coaching from there, fairly kind of, it was a given for me, to pursue my sport education. then from there, yeah, like I just said, went to university and studied sports performance conditioning, sports science degree. And the more I went into this sports performance aspect, the more involvement I got in with pursuing performance of my own and my own individual disciplines. So at the time I was racing, and I still am racing, mountain bike, cross country racing, road racing and crit racing, and a bit of cyclocross as well. Yeah, it's sad to say that the motorsport aspect of it is less so. And I dabble in it now and again when I find the time, but now it's a case of, you know, my job is more evolved around cycling, so so I pursue that in my own performance as well, because I enjoy seeing my athletes at the races, and I get involved with talking to them at races and competitions, going to them, and so on and so forth. But yeah, throughout life, it's always been about the two wheels.
Yeah. So how does it feel? Do you ever compete against the athletes you train?
I do. Yeah, I do. And it's an interesting one, really, because to be honest, if you asked me 5 years ago, you know, about my own performance and my own aspirations, you know, my mindset was always, you know, I want to get as far as I possibly can with this. I want to pursue the life of a pro cyclist, you know, and get as good as I can, as far as up as I can. But now, because it is my job, and because you know, like as you say, I'm racing these individuals and I'm pushing the performance of many different athletes, I actually don't mind taking a bit of a step back, and as long as I'm thereabouts with my own performance and getting some fairly good results, I would much rather see the performance of my own athletes, you know, come on twofold than me in the limelight, if you know what I mean. So, but yeah, racing my athletes is a good one, because obviously sometimes in races, if it's a mountain bike race, you might not see them at all. They're either way in front of you or way behind you. But sometimes, such as a road race or a crit race, you're actually alongside them the whole time, and it might come down to the last lap, and it comes down to a sprint, and so on and so forth. So yeah, there's it makes it interesting. Yeah, of course.
So it's a case of who's got the most left in the tank on the final lap, I guess, to make it for the sprint.
Yeah, for sure. And to be honest, obviously with what's going on at the minute with lockdown, it's the main element which is which I'm really missing is that, you know, we build up for months and months to what we deem as our kind of peak performance or somewhere near, and then just as it was about to start and kick off, we got told that we can't race, and now we're kind of hanging in a bit of a loom where we know that we might see some of the race season at the end of the season, so we've got to maintain the fitness. But equally, you know, there's a small chance you might not see any racing this year, you know, for a fair part, and it's that unknown which is a little bit tricky.
Yeah, it's absolutely. Yeah, I mean, obviously this has affected, you know, absolutely everything. You know, professional races, you know, everything. So so you base yourself at a bike shop called Viva La Velo in North Ferriby. What do you do from your base at Viva La Velo? What do you carry out from there?
Yeah, so Viva La Velo, I say, bike shop in North Ferriby. We've got a good relationship there. They are a fairly high-end kind of performance bike shop, and I basically deliver all of my performance testing and all of my bike fits from there. So in the back of the shop, I've got my own kind of room, which is all branded up nice and clean and clinical, with a watt bike in there. So all of my performance coaching clients, we regularly test them. We put them through certain fitness tests, just to track their performance, see if there's anything we need to manipulate, and so on and so forth. And I do all of that from there. So obviously we can put them through very specific ramp tests and threshold tests, blood lactate testing, VO2 max testing on the watt bike with all the equipment that I've got there, and regularly test their fitness. The other thing that we do there is the bike fitting. So as you know yourself, I did a bike fit on you a few months ago, and yeah, so we use the watt bike there because it's great for data, it's great for feedback, analysis of pedaling technique, and so on and so forth. So we do that from there as well.
Right. Well, I'm just going to bring up. There we go. Isn't technology wonderful? There we go. So I've just brought up your actually fantastic looking website right here on the contact us page. So I scroll down to there. That's got the address of Viva La Velo and all your contact details on. So we'll carry on talking while people can look at that.
Yeah, of course.
So, right then, I know this is a big one and it's very close to your heart. This is the day we first met. So, Monday the 13th of August, 2018, you completed the Everesting Challenge on Garraby Hill, just down the road from us here at Seaways. You cycled up it 52 times to match the total height of Everest, which is the equivalent of 29,030 feet. And in covering that elevation, you covered 145 miles. Now, that is just a massive day in the saddle for anyone, even the pro riders at the very, very top. That is just a massive day in the saddle. What was the motivation behind taking on such a challenge?
Yes, it was a tough day for sure. The motivation was kind of twofold, really. Now, if I'm honest, I mean, initially, the first idea, it was a friend of mine, Richard Baldwin, that I know you met as well, who's one of the managers of World Top the Edge race team. He contacted me, and it started with just an idea. It was, we were kind of thinking of doing something for charity at that time of year. It was nearing the end of the season, and we were kind of thinking, okay, well, let's have a little think about something that would be, a bit of a challenge for us. So we decided on doing an Everest, and we selected Garraby Hill as the hill that we were going to try and go for. And then about a week after we decided that, and it was about maybe 3 weeks before the event itself, that's when we had the awful news of James Cowton, my friend's passing. And obviously, initially kind of after that shock, and we kind of we got the news, it was only right. I mean, I was having a little think about the time for charities, and then essentially, I decided to do the challenge in James's name. I asked James's parents if there's any specific charities which were close to James's heart, of which they told me, and then we went from there. So it was, we did I did the challenge in James's name and raised some good money for the charity of their choice. And to be honest, like, there was some incredibly dark times during that challenge. Like, I mean, I knew it would be tough, but when I got to the kind of 40 rep mark and it started raining, and the issue with a hill like that is, on the descent you can be absolutely freezing, and then on the ascent you're sweating buckets, and obviously with all the training in the world, you can't kind of account for 12 hours in the saddle continuously, and obviously with a hill, the ascent is near a maximal effort every time, so it's not a case of being able to pace it very well either.
Oh.
So yes, there was some incredibly dark times on the day, and I'm, you know, doing it in James's name really did help me kind of pull through a little bit at times, because you know, that we can't fathom what James's parents were going through at that time, and you know, what I was doing was such a small challenge comparatively. So yeah, it certainly did help with the motivation just to think about James now and again during the ride.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and like I say, it'd be for a fantastic cause as well. Okay, so it was only a few years ago that you got married to Becky. And now, obviously, she's an exercise professional and a physio at Castle Hill Hospital. So I guess it's great that she's got similar interests to you. You know, how and when did you first meet?
Yeah, so Becky and I have been together for 10 years now, and I asked her this morning just to double check, just to make sure that I wasn't correctly wrong. We met at college, so it's quite nice in this regard really, because Becky's just as sporty as I am really. We met at college, and she was doing. Oh, that's better. I can see myself now. We met at college. She's a runner, so she's a middle distance runner. We met at college, and we then essentially mutually decided we wanted to do similar kind of things. It had similar interests, but she was more kind of sports rehab, sports injury management side of things, whereas I make people fitter, and then she deals with any of the injuries type of thing. So she went to the same uni as I did, and she did sports injury management, same sports science degree, but a different sector. And then yeah, from university, when we left and I went to Giant York to pursue performance coaching, she started basically doing physio work at Castle Hill. So she's an exercise professional at Castle Hill Hospital now. And we've moved to Cottingham, which is just around the corner from where she works. Obviously, a lot of my work is from home, so it works quite well there. But yeah, it's great that, because we've got a fairly you know, I like say mutual interest, and we're both very keen on being fit and pursuing fitness. So it's nice to feed off each other for that, for sure.
Yeah, that brings me on to your next family member, your four-legged friend Duke. Because you know, even when people say they don't like dogs, they actually do love dogs. I know that for a fact. You know, you and Becky being so fit and active, you know, what does Duke think to all this? Is he there sort of sat at the door ready to go while you're with trainers or cycling shoes on? Hey, Duke, is he there?
Come here. He is.
Oh,
he was fast asleep. Come here, boy. Up. Here he is.
Oh, there he is. Hey, Duke.
So this is Duke. He is, I mean, he looks a lot like a black lab, but he's crossed with something that we're unsure about at the minute.
Right.
The owners that we got him from thought that it was a Cocker Spaniel, but he's basically, he looks like a black lab, but he's a lot leaner. He's got longer legs, and hence that means that he's very good at running. So he's, I kid you not, he's probably one of the fittest dogs in East Yorkshire, because basically any run that Becky goes on, she very often takes Duke with her, and I at times I'll take Duke on the mountain bike with me. I've done kid you not, I've done a full loop of Dolby Forest, like 21 miles.
Yeah. And
he just follows me, and when we got back to the van, he just looked at me as if to say, "Can we go again?" kind of thing. You know, I mean, I'm mindful that in summer I need to take a bottle of water for him. But aside from that, he'll run forever. And the trouble is, they're so loyal are dogs. I mean, nothing would come between us. I think even if he was on death's door, he would still follow me. But no, he loves every minute of it. I mean, all I need to do is grab the lead off the side, and he'll be springed up out of bed and following me. Yeah.
I think while I was sort of getting this together, I was, that Vitality advert with Jessica Ennis-Hill in it.
Oh yes, yeah.
Dog that's sort of constantly thinking, "Oh no, not again! Oh no,
yeah.
the third one this week," and stuff like that. So I guess that was going through my mind as well.
Yeah, well, he's keen as due. I mean, he's only about 1.5, 2 years old, so
right.
So he's still keen. We'll see what it's like when he's 10.
Right. So I wanted to maybe incorporate a bit of practical side into this interview. So this could be a bit embarrassing for me here, but anyway, have you got for anyone that's watching that might not be very active, that maybe thinks I could do a bit more to be active? Is there anything basic that you can recommend? Anything just to sort of get them going, to get them moving a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is one thing that I'd kind of put across, I guess, is because with regards to the bike fitting and also the cycling coaching as well that I do, it's very much a missed aspect. People come in for bike fits and we can optimize their position, but very often the reason that they're uncomfortable is because they are either inflexible or they lack they've got very poor core strength, or a combination of both. And the issue with cycling is that it's you are in a very anterior dominant. Sorry, Duke's trying to give me his ball now. He thinks that we're playing. But cycling is a very anterior dominant sport, so it's you are effectively stuck in one position, cycling, in a frontal plane. Now, that means that the back is very relaxed, and the front of the body is often very tight, and you can often get quite bad posture from doing that. So basically what we want to do off the bike is counteract that by doing a lot of back strengthening exercises, and also increasing flexibility in the places which get tight. Now, typically I wouldn't recommend doing any flexibility work, like static flexibility work, while the muscles are cold. So the best time to do that is after a ride. But certain places which get tight are the hip flexors. Mm-hmm. So the joint basically at the front of the thigh. So one exercise that I often show people that they should do after a ride is to get in basically a front lunge position.
Okay, here goes nothing. I might make a massive fool of myself.
Yeah.
Let's see if
there we go.
Here. Yeah. Just let me know.
Okay, so if you get into a front lunge position.
So one leg forward. If I do that sideways, people can see.
That's it. And then drop that rear knee down to the ground. That's it. Yep. Hands on the hips. And then basically push your hips forward, but then your chest back. That's it. So you should now feel quite a good stretch on the hip flexor. So your right leg, at the top of the right leg. Yeah, there. Now, thankfully, you are very flexible there now, because I know that you've been getting on the yoga every morning. But a lot of people will find that difficult. Now, while you're in that position then, I'll give you the second stage. So put your knee down to the ground.
Yeah.
So if you find that easy, bring your foot of that rear leg up to your bum and try and grab hold of it with your hand.
Oh, wish me luck. If this goes wrong, I'll be laid out on the floor for the rest of the interview.
That's it. So now you can try and optimize that position. So keep your chest back and try and grab hold of it with both hands if you can.
I must say, this is not easy.
So that's a good example. So that's basically what you could feel. The stretch there is your hip flexor. And if you think about you know, a typical cycling position where you're like this.
Yeah.
This part of your body is very tight all the time, and it never really gets elongated. So it's a good thing to do when you first get back from a ride, to get into that position, to stretch out that on both sides. The other things that I'd really recommend are basically making your back and your pelvis and your core as strong as you possibly can, because the strength of your core has a massive impact on kind of your endurance and your comfort over longer rides. So doing things like planks, what I call a bird's dog exercise.
Here we go again.
So do you know what a bird dog is? Did I tell you that one?
I don't know. We'll do a plank first to show people what a plank is.
Okay, plank then.
Do that on my hands or on my arms?
On your arms. We'll do it on your arms.
Just let me know if you can see me okay.
Absolutely fine, yeah. Perfect. So onto your arms. There we go. So while you're in that position as well, a good thing to do is to take one foot off the ground ever so slightly.
Yep.
That's it. Keep your leg straight, and then put it back down again, and then switch legs. So as soon as you do that, you're basically making yourself off balance, and you're having to use that glute, the muscles of your bum and your lower back, to stabilize your pelvis. And that's basically all of those muscles that are holding that together are what tire a lot on longer rides or when you're climbing and so on and so forth. But if you can make that area as strong and stable as possible, not only will it increase your performance on the bike, but it'll also make you a lot more comfortable as well.
Was there another one while I'm here quickly?
Yeah, that bird dog exercise. So if you get onto hands and knees from a side, that's it. And then you're going to lift your right arm out straight to the front, if you've got space.
Yeah.
That's it. But keep your back flat, so don't look up. That's it. And then instead, while you're doing that, your left leg, extend it out to the back. That's it. So you're unbalanced now. So you're doing a bit of sling work. So your left arm is working and your right leg is working. Now you put them back down and you switch. So your other arm will go out and your other leg will go out.
So that's palms under shoulders, knees under hips.
Exactly that, yeah.
Yep, that's fine.
So switch, perfect. So you'll see there's a bit of initial wobbling, and then you'll find that balance, and you just hold that as taut as you can, really tensing all of the muscles at the back of your leg and your glute and your back, and then you switch again. So you might hold those for maybe 4 or 5 seconds each, and then switch. But like I say, all of that will strengthen your back and your core, and really help improve your performance and improve your comfort on the bike.
Brilliant. Well, that was a nice little warm-up. That was good. That was great.
Yeah, good.
Well, Tom, I think brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us here at What They Do and How They Do It at COS Cafe Friday, though. So the website again.
My website is edgecoaching.cc. Edgecoaching.cc, yeah.
And all your information details are on there. You're on Instagram, you're on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Well, thank you for taking the time to join us here at the COS community. And of course, take care and welcome to the community.
Cheers then.
Tom, thank you.